good morning. Great to be here. Hard act to follow. Maybe a little less high concept this morning, but hopefully you'll learn something. I come to you all as a stranger in a strange land, fundamentally. Not that I think New York is all that strange, us San Franciscans kind of understand New Yorkers, but because I come from a whole different digital media, digital marketing culture than all of you. And it's a little bit shocking to be up here and actually to be speaking to this group because it's not where I usually speak and it's not what you usually hear. And I hope you'll get something out of hearing from a pioneer and a thought leader, if I would give myself that credit, for a whole different category of digital marketing that I think every marketer needs to know about and pay attention to and maybe learn a little bit about. So my official talk is from marketing automation to engagement marketing, but fundamentally what I'm here to talk about is, okay, so you worried about your audience and you did your segmentation and you mastered programmatic and you mastered paid media and you mastered earned media and you got the click, you got the conversion, you even got the purchase. Now what? That's the moment in time, that's a brief moment in time in a lifetime in the relationship you can build with a customer. And there are a set of digital marketing technologies all about how to then take that moment of truth and turn that into a lifetime of value, and that's what I want to share with you a little bit today. I say I'm a stranger in a strange land. I was out, I don't know, 3 years ago, so ancient history in the life of my company, at an OMA conference here in New York, and the topic was segment of one. You know, will we ever get there? And I had all these, digital advertising execs on stage. They're like, no, maybe someday, I don't know, of course, maybe. And then I'm up there, it's like, I do it every day. Every one of my, 4,000 customers at that time were treating segments of one, building individual personal relationships with each individual on a long-term basis. This stuff is possible at scale, it's possible in a very valuable way. So it's very interesting. But it is, in very many cases, a stranger in a strange land. I was, a month or two ago, I was off in Overland Park, Kansas, where Sprint is based, one of the largest phone companies. And it was quite wacky, actually. Came in, I met with the CMO, and then he said, I brought a couple of teams together and I want you to meet with them. And in this room came the people from Building 2 and the people from Building 7. And the people from Building 2 were the ad tech people, the acquisition people, they could talk audience statistics all day. They could talk search optimization until the cows came home. They could talk with 3 decimal points of precision about what they did, but they had no idea what happened the minute that they got that click and handed it off onto their website for somebody to convert or not convert, and then whether they were going to upgrade or get a new handset or buy a triple play or whatever else might happen. That just wasn't even part of their purview. And then the people from Building 7, they were about churn management. They were about lifetime value. They were about win-backs. They were about customer satisfaction. They were about a whole other set of things. And it was fascinating. I felt sort of a little bit like, John Kerry or something like that, holding shuttle diplomacy between these two groups of digital marketers that literally didn't know each other. So for you guys, meet your brethren in Building 7. So let me just give you a little trip down memory lane so you understand where I'm coming from all of this. I represent a category that really grew up as B2B marketing, historically, was the name of the term. And that's not true anymore, as you'll see as we talk about this. But it's really the origins of this kind of set of stuff. So think a little bit about how traditional business buying happens. We're all at companies, we buy things, we buy software, we buy services, we buy accountants, we do whatever we do. How does that all happen? Well, if you were to ask 1,000 CEOs, how does revenue happen in your company? They'd say, well, we have a sales team and they have opportunities and we have an opportunity pipeline that we manage and Salesforce.com and, the best salespeople sell stuff and that's how it gets done. But of course, if you tried to say, well, how did that happen? Where did it come from? Where did those people come from? Many people in the traditional B2B segments, they put a big question mark on the wall and they don't have any idea sort of what happens ahead of that. Now, we all know the truth of that. That's because we're all at the front end of this funnel, right? Where we're building awareness, where we're starting to build relationships with customers. We're trying to earn them in earned media. We're paying for them in our digital advertising and other things we're doing. And we're trying to plant seeds of a relationship at the front of that market, using content, using all the things that we've been talking about here over the last couple of days. Ultimately, as people become friends, they become fans of your brand, they become candidate buyers. But there's this middle ground sitting in the middle of that because most business buying takes, weeks, months, years. We work with a company that builds $5 billion power plants, and they use our marketing technology to talk to the early designers that are just sketching what the site plan looks like, and then they're talking to the builders, and they're talking to the utilities and other people, trying to build a relationship so when that moment of truth happens, that a contract is actually let, their building company and not some other building company gets that $5 billion power plant idea. But the idea is, how do you span that point of time from where somebody first becomes aware of your brand, becomes aware of you, to the day that they're ready to buy. That happens in B2B marketing all the time. And that's created a whole new set of business processes that are really important. Lead nurturing. How do you actually drip content and engage with customers during this time they're using your content, they're engaging with you, they're asking their friends on Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever it might be in order to make a decision about who they're going to buy from. Lead scoring, which is this notion of being able to measure engagement. What are people doing? Are they reading your content? Are they opening your content? Are they coming to your events? Are they taking phone calls? Are they engaging with your mobile application? Whatever that might be, to bring buyers through this systematic process and get them ready to talk to a salesperson and buy. So that's all pretty interesting. It's created tremendous value. We have companies that can attribute billions of dollars of top-line growth with the same sales organization by doing this lead nurturing capability really well, by focusing a sales team on the most likely buyers at their moment of truth, and ultimately driving more revenue into the business. But I had an amazing experience, I don't know, it was probably 2 years ago, where I was with a woman who ran global brand for Hidden Valley Ranch salad dressing, a brand of Clorox. And she said, you know, I figured out that if I can use a B2B lead nurturing product and I can turn that against my salad dressing buyers, I'm going to have more loyalty, more engagement, and as people walk down the aisle in their supermarket, I can warp the gravity field so that they reach for a salad dressing, they pick up Hidden Valley Ranch again, and they don't stray to Newman's Own or Kraft or whatever other brand. She had done the mapping. She had figured out that if a B2B lead nurturing product, as she called it, could be used in that kind of a consumer environment, she could change the lifetime value of her brand. She could change the loyalty of her customers. She could actually increase revenue of a salad dressing brand sold in a supermarket. And all of a sudden, that was the flywheel that started to run, and we started to see that, you know, this wasn't a lead nurturing technology at all. This was a consumer relationship engagement technology that applied across every industry, every segment, every brand, every e-commerce company, every digital media publication, every airline, every bank, et cetera. And so we've seen this entire breakout of the category as that started to happen. All driven by, you know, this tremendous change that's happening to marketing, right? It wasn't very long ago that there just, you know, there weren't very many routes to market. You know, if you're going to buy something, you know, you watch TV ads, you'd read consumer reports. We all know what's changed, right? There's just this intense set of digital, social media, mobile media that enable people to form their own preferences, ask their friends, make their own decisions. That's produced a world where information is in abundance, where power is in the hand of the buyers, and where marketing now has a relationship or a responsibility to change this relationship. So not just at the front end of customer acquisition, but across the entire life cycle of customer marketing, there's a set of just incredible changes that are transforming marketing organizations. So the first is to move towards behavioral response marketing. You know, it's great to buy audience data. It's great to buy demographic and psychographic or firmographic data and understand how to segment your possible buyers and treat them in individual ways. But there's an incredible wealth of information, of first-party data that companies can accumulate on their buyers, right? Think about all those things. What kind of service calls do they have? How much do they engage in your website? Are they opening your emails? If you do an in-app push message to them, do they respond to it and follow through into the app? Or if, you know, you're a telco, do you have, you know, network events or drop calls that maybe is causing somebody to become dissatisfied with the service? Maybe that's a time to do a proactive intervention. The ability for companies to build and harvest the kind of data that they can gain themselves and make good decisions is incredible. We call that behavioral response data. You can have companies that have literally hundreds of billions, if not trillions, of data points of individual behavior that help them know when to communicate at the right time in the right place. We've obviously moved from a world of mass communication to a world of one-to-one communication, and I really mean that literally. We have customers at Marketo that at scale of tens of millions of people, have literally individual lifetime tracks geared, tuned, timed, and crafted to speak to each of those individuals on a different basis. And I'll talk about an example of that in just a minute. We've got to move from point-in-time blasts from the ability to get the compelling advertising out there. I was out for advertising week last week, and it was really quite fascinating. You know, the word engagement was everywhere, and there were a set of us that were talking about engagement, meaning lifetime engagement, the ability to build long-term continuous relationships with customers. And then there were other people where all engagement meant was a point-in-time marketing event that brought a tear to your eye. You know, and if it was an engaging ad where you actually wanted to share it on Facebook, that was enough to talk about engagement. So when I talk about engagement, I don't just mean getting somebody to like you or getting somebody to pay attention or somebody to open their eyes or bring a tear, but I mean the ability to actually build a long-term, continuous, two-way, mutually encouraging dialogue with each of your customers at scale. And to do that continuously across every channel. You know, it takes only about, you know, what, a quarter inch, a centimeter to move your finger on a mobile device, on a cell phone, an iPhone, or an Android device, to move from Facebook to Twitter to email to a mobile app to a mobile website. We have all become so accustomed to being able to do that, it just doesn't even occur to us that we're jumping channels. Yet most marketers today that are using digital marketing technology still have a social media platform, and they have an email platform, and they have a mobile marketing platform. And it's just completely different inside the marketing organization from what the experience of the actual customer is, not to mention multiple devices where I move from my iPhone to my laptop to my iPad to my desktop. You know, I don't even think about it anymore because with the cloud it's so easy. How do I have a relationship that continually spans that across every channel and picks up where the last one left off and talks to me where I want to be talked to, so that the people I want to build a relationship with know me and know where they should be talking to me. And then finally, to move from what is still, well, less so in a group like this than in a group of sort of more traditional advertisers, but from sort of the intuitive decision making or the, you know, the large scale, low cycle time kind of audience data to true data driven marketing, the wealth of data, the ability to do all this stuff with precision, to understand which are the most valuable customers, which are the most valuable offers, how to actually craft long-term valuable relationships is better than it's ever been before. So I talked about engagement marketing. It's a term we use. We think it's a great term to talk about what this is. This kind of spans, you know, it's lead nurturing, marketing automation. You know, it isn't about automating things. It's about building relationships with people. And when I think about engagement marketing, I think that marketers need to do really 4 things really well. And it doesn't, I've been working for, I don't know, a year and a half to come up with a good acronym for this. So, you know, an award for whoever gives me a better acronym. But fundamentally, we need to build individual relationships uniquely with each and every one of our customers, and to personalize those always, continuously, everywhere, all the time, to drive intimacy, drive a relationship with the customers. To do that in a durable way, a way that isn't just about this week's campaign or this month's campaign, but is thinking about months and even years across the customer life cycle. And a lot of times, sometimes in some audiences, they're, oh yeah, I use my email tool, and you know, we have a newsletter, and we send, you know, this continuous relationship to people. But it's like, it's not about newsletters, it's not about just sending people stuff. It's about directing them, guiding them, achieving outcomes in your business that matter, and using these digital technologies, this engagement marketing, to actually affect the revenue performance of each of our businesses. So let's dive into this just a little bit more and kind of explore each of these items in a little more detail. So first is individual. So it's possible now, with a technology like ours or others in the market, to start to think about talking to each and every one of your customers on a truly individual timeline, time arc, time basis, truly talk to them on different dates, different times, different channels, different media, based on buyer preference and based on what analytics tell you about what works the best. So maybe we have one person that likes messages in the morning and actually engages with their email and reads them and responds occasionally and likes to have that kind of data. Maybe you have somebody that really wants their information on the weekend, and they don't do email. They live in their text application on their phone or wherever they might be, and so their preference of communication is to get a text message. Or somebody else, you know, while they want to hear from you, they like your brand, they're adverse to a lot of communication, and you can quickly detect that you're over-communicating or they're not engaging or what kind of information. And so one of the things that's like a key feature in our product is, you know, the don't send a message feature as opposed to the do something, you know. And so the ability to back off, to understand who wants a lot of communication, who wants less. And so we can do this at scale. We can do this literally at the scale of, you know, millions or tens of millions of customers. So for example, McGraw-Hill Education, one of the largest providers of educational media. They do Reading is Fundamental for tots and for kids, all the way up to being one of the largest providers of textbooks and multimedia courseware for higher education, for colleges and universities. And so McGraw-Hill works with us to build individual long-term lifecycle marketing campaigns for every one of their courses. So if they have a introduction to organic biology targeted at college freshmen, there's a marketing campaign that's all about, number one, how to get the professor to choose their course and not some other course, how to introduce that course to their students, and then they turn that on the student and they want to talk to the student about, are you getting the right information out of the course? Are you using the online resources that are available to go along with the textbook? Are you engaging in the problem set question and answer services that exist on their website as part of that courseware? And the ability to come back and talk to some students on their text message, some students on email, some students in the personal application, and generate engagement in that course on an individual basis. And so that ability to build 1,000 different totally deep, unique marketing campaigns to drive them at scale, and every time they introduce a new course, they introduce a new 2-year marketing campaign that goes along with it. Quite incredible to be able to build that kind of individual campaign at that kind of fine-grained basis that actually produces a tremendously different kind of engagement than just saying, hey, you're using your course today, right? So next, personal. We know a lot about our customers. What do they want? What are their aspirations? What are their hopes? Think about a travel company. We work with Butterfield and Robinson, for example, which is active travel bicycling and walking tours and that kind of thing. And it used to be the catalog would land, I land at home in my home, right? And it'd be, pages 1 through 7 would be about family tours, and 8 through 13 would be their program where you can meet people while you tour, and the next one's for families, and you'd page through the catalog, and about 4 pages were good, and everything else was bad. Well, most websites are still like that today, right? You come to them, and you pull down a menu, and there's for active travelers and luxury travelers and meet singles, but what if we could create a whole unique experience? So from the day you start to show your preferences, I want to tour with my family, that the website knows you. You come back, it's not just, a text box someplace, but the whole website has started to morph. And it's talking to you about family-friendly tours and why your kids are going to love it and why you're going to come back for more. And when emails come out, they know you that that's what you're interested in, and they don't even talk to you about singles tours because they know that's not what you want, right? But maybe there's somebody else that's doing the one time of a lifetime. You talk to them on an entirely different basis, maybe more slowly, maybe about enjoyment, maybe about, this will be the thing that you tell your grandkids about as your one tour. And you build that relationship, so that ability to truly personalize a web experience, an in-app experience, a text experience, an email experience, a phone experience by helping people if they're in a call center with a screen pop or a customer profile, and to tie those all together so that you start to immerse people in a buying track that is truly personal to them. That's possible today. We have people doing that at scale. So, a great example of that is MyFitnessPal. I don't know, how many people use MyFitnessPal? They got 65 million active subscribers or users of their mobile app, so they've become the #1 fitness destination on the iTunes store, the iPhone store, and a tremendous level of engagement. They've actually now beat out Oprah, they've beat out Cooking Light, et cetera, as their most active destination, as the most destination site for people who are trying to lose weight. And so they use Marketo and our engagement marketing technology with 65 million individual customers, each being treated as an individual, right? I might tell the app that I want to lose 10 pounds over the course of the year. I have trouble limiting my intake of sweets. I love to do my steps, but most days I don't get them done. And I'd like a little bit of encouragement. Somebody else might say, I really don't want my app talking back to me, and I don't need my mom harassing me about how much I eat, but I do want to learn about how I get healthy, and I do want to keep track of what I'm doing. And if I stray, remind me to get back on track, but don't bother me if I don't stray, for a while. And so MyFitnessPal has built dozens, hundreds of individual personal profiles of different personas, different kinds of people that engage with the app and with their blog and their content site and all they do. And so now they're able to send an individual message by tracking, did you do your steps today? If you're somebody who actually asked for that kind of encouragement, you'll get a message that says, hey, healthy, doesn't look like you did your steps today on your Fitbit. Let's get out there before it gets too late. and get those steps done. Or it might be you just reached a goal, go have a chocolate sundae because you owe it to yourself, because they know that that's somebody that needs a lot of encouragement. So the ability at a 65 million individual persona level to be able to build individual relationships is the state of the art that takes place. So a company like this has produced a 10% increase in reactivation and lifetime stickiness, and therefore monetization of their application, versus life before this kind of engagement marketing tool came to the stage. And we think it's just, for one mobile app, that's really quite incredible. So durable. It's really quite amazing. I start to see now customers that are building and thinking about customer lifetime journeys that last decades. There are marketers out there that are writing journey maps on the wall and thinking about what are they going to say to people now, what are they going to say to people next year or next month, next year, 5 years from now. Harvard Business School, for example, works with us, and they have an integrated program that starts thinking about how do I get to college students that are promising, interesting in business school, how do I get them to come to Harvard? Once they're at Harvard, how do they start to get engaged in the community and the networking and the things that happen, right on to when they graduate, how do you get them back into the Alumni Association, and of course, how do you get them to start give down the road? So that notion of actually starting to chart these kinds of journeys that literally span years, lifetimes, is the state of the art in a lot of marketing that we're seeing going on today as people are starting to build durable journeys, durable engagement arcs for their customers. Is really quite incredible. Now, it doesn't mean those things don't change all the time. It has to be trivial and instant to be able to say, well, the people are actually going on some different journey, or that's not working, or lifestyles have changed, or something like that. So none of these things are immutable, but they are durable, they are long-term. So think about a financial services company. We have companies that think about, well, at college time, we're going to sell a credit card. It's going to be the student's first credit card, and it's the right thing. But then they maintain that arc. They understand that a few years later, that person's likely to be in the market for a home loan. And so they're working to build on that relationship around the next piece of that relationship to sell home rates. Or maybe they have an insurance product. So even several years later, when the kids entered the family, all of a sudden now it's time to come back and talk about life insurance. So you can start to think about share wallet, cross-product optimization, cross-sell, lifetime customer value, and to start to actually craft engaging messages that are always thinking about how to deepen the relationship, how to get to know people, how to earn trust, how to expose more aspects of the brand over time, so that at that moment of truth, when the buyer behavior happens, there's an exploration on the website about home loan rates. You're able to not only just say, here's the great, 2.7% APR variable rate mortgage, but to talk about, you've paid your credit card bill on time, for 7 years, and we'd like to offer you a consultant that will call you and talk to you about one of our best customers because you've been so responsive in your credit card. And that ability to draw upon the past, talk about the future as a durable relationship completely changes the way people perceive brands and understand the value of that relationship. So for example, the Detroit Pistons, which is the Palace up in Detroit. It's the Pistons are owned by the arena that hosts events. There's several arenas up there. They've focused on using a technology like this to build long-term relationships with their fans and season ticket holders and concert goers in the region, and to talk not about, hey, there's a ticket available, which is sort of the state of the art in sports marketing, or there's a new concert coming, but to start to know who among their entire fan base, loves rap, who among their entire fan base wants to go to 4 games in a season, but they really can't afford anymore, or they don't want to go to more, or their lifestyle doesn't let them do anymore. Who's really likely to buy a spot ticket when it comes available? But to think about this not as selling individual tickets, which worked fine, but to think about durable relationships with fans. So now they are talking about next season's concert tour, who are we going to book that would be appropriate for the fan base that we know we can reactivate to have come attend at high rates as they are starting to strategize about the next year concert program, or as they're starting to think about season tickets now for the 2015 basketball season. Who are the most likely people to reach out to, and what messages built upon were they season ticket holders last year? Well, that's easy, but how many games did they attend? Did they participate in any kind of fan activities? Did they come to any other activities? And that ability to think about ticket buyers not as a point-in-time event, but as a lifetime relationship that they build is quite remarkable. And they've seen, just by adopting this over the course of a couple of years, about a 30% increase in season ticket sales by actually being able to not think about it as, okay, it's the 2015 season, let me just sell the 2015 season tickets, and instead let me think about that in the context of an entire lifespan of the relationship I'm building. How do I cross-sell? How do I upsell? 30% change in season tickets by being able to build these kinds of durable relationships with customers. And it has to be directed. All of this kind of marketing isn't about how do I just stay in touch with people? How do I communicate more? It's about how do I communicate less. In fact, it's about how do I communicate more relevantly. But it's always about what is the next step? What is the next moment of truth? It's fine to go for a conversion or a click as you're trying to acquire a new audience, you're trying to acquire new people at the front of your funnel. But how do you take people on incremental steps and always be communicating messages that are carefully designed, measured, data-driven, analytically driven, to say what works the best to get a buyer from the moment they first start to engage, start to learn, start to consume content, start to get intrigued, maybe start to ask their friends. How do you get them to that buying moment? What do you have to do? What works? And so the ability to get dashboards as a marketer that says, this set of multi-touch attribution of these kinds of interactions with these kinds of messages across these channels at this sequence taken across this pool of 100,000 people, this is the right path or the right arc to achieve buying. But the life doesn't stop there, right? What's the next thing you want to find? You want to build advocacy. Nothing is more valuable than fan advocacy in social media today, in other forums, and obviously in our personal lives. So once you have somebody that buys, what's the next leg of the journey? What's the next flight? How do you get somebody to go from buying to being happy with their product, to trusting the brand, to being loyal to the brand, to advocating for the brand as somebody else asks? And how do you measure that? And what are the sequence of campaigns, the sequence of messages that bring somebody through that next phase of their buying journey or their customer journey or their arc with you? And then what's next? If it's a subscription service, okay, you own it, you trust it, you're an advocate, you're a fan, but if it's something that you don't live with every day, it's a piece of PC software or something like that, then how do you stay in front of that person and be sure that they own it, that they use it, that they value it, that they understand, and that they renew when that moment of truth comes? Because in almost every product or service we have in the world, there's repeat purchase, there's renewals, there's telling friends, et cetera. And so this ability to build directed campaigns that really are designing and architecting how to take buyers through the path. So at Kaspersky Labs, which is one of the now becomes disrupting the personal PC security software, internet surfing market, taking share from the Symantec's and others of the world. And they're doing it in a very fascinating, systematic way. Their journey managers have started to map out for each market in France and Russia and the US and Latin America, et cetera, very different kinds of journeys, or kind of different states, so subdividing that way, but then thinking about, first of all, what do I need to do to acquire customers? So a lot of online marketing, a lot of web marketing, affiliate marketing, a lot of stuff that goes on to find buyers and get them in for that first moment of truth. And during that process, if somebody has, for example, asked for more information, they'll use a technology like this. But the minute that person buys, then they move to the next leg of the journey, right? And that next leg of the journey is all about how to make sure that the customer actually gets up and running successfully, right? So the emails that are being sent, or the text messages are being sent, or the in-application that appears on the screen of the user on their PC or their laptop is starting to talk about, make sure you get it installed, do you have it set up correctly, are you satisfied with it, any questions, can we get back to you? The minute that they are able to monitor coming off that software, because it's cloud software, of course, even on the PC, that software is installed and in use successfully, then it's about relationship development. And they take the person where there's no goal to sell anything more, there's no goal to renew, but the goal is to build trust in the brand and to have people be satisfied with the fact that Kaspersky's making them safer in life. And they have metrics for that. They understand that if people engage in the right set of content in the right order, that they have probably become satisfied with that purchase. And then 3 months before the renewal time, all of a sudden, the product automatically kicks into gear, and with each individual starts to take them through, there's renewal coming on, there's a great offer that if you buy a bundle, you can get a discount. But this notion of taking people through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps of a journey, continuously thinking about what's next, and doing that with everybody on a completely individual basis. Because I might buy Kaspersky this morning, you might buy it next week or tomorrow. We're all on our own journeys, and the software is taking care of keeping us all safe and proud on those journeys. So this stuff's pretty cool. It's this whole other world maybe for many of you. If you're building 2 people, this is what the people in Building 7 are doing. I'd heard from Seth that Rand was going to have some cosmology stuff, so I figured I would have to have my requisite galaxy picture as well. But I just can't get out of my head a picture of what's going on kind of in this space. We have all this ad tech stuff, and by that I include earned media, I include SEO activities, I include all of the audience acquisition kinds of technologies that many of you do every day for your companies or for the companies you serve, if you're an agency or otherwise. And I just have this picture, like, I don't know, if the Milky Way and Andromeda are going to collide together sometime after I'm no longer here to see the show. And I see that exact same thing going on with engagement marketing and ad tech or the customer acquisition marketing. As these 2 worlds are growing together, the people in Building 2 and Building 7 are moving into the same offices together and starting to think not about audience acquisition, not about the performance of content purely for acquisition, but about these individual, personal, durable, directed journeys that we're all trying to take our customers on. Quite incredible what it can do. It can produce billions of top-line growth. It can produce higher customer loyalty. It can produce more advocacy in social media. It can get you to buy the $5 billion power plant, or it can get you to buy the Hidden Valley Ranch salad dressing, or it can get you to do your steps. And across all of those kinds of stories, this is where it's happening in Building 7, and I hope you all come take a visit one of these days. So with that, I will take a few questions from the audience and get you on about your day. Thank you.